What is an extremely dark, creepy true story that most people don't know about? You/deleted responded. Baby farming, not to be confused with baby farms on The Sims. It worked like modern-day daycare in a way. Desperate single and/or impoverished mothers would send their young children to homes while they tried to get back on their feet, for a small fee. Most farmers would neglect the children to death or just instantly murder them. This was to save money on caring for the children, and profit from selling the children's clothes, toys, and sometimes the bodies were sold. Imagine responding to a Facebook ad for affordable childcare. It seems perfect, stately home in the countryside with lots of outdoor space to play. But then your child never comes home. You/deleted responded. eBay's management didn't like what a husband or wife was saying about eBay, so they stalked and harassed them. Executives were upset about the newsletter's coverage, so their employees set out to ruin the lives of the couple who ran the website, sending a funeral wreath, bloody pig face Halloween mask and other alarming items to their home, authorities said. The employees also sent pornographic magazines with the husband's name on it to their neighbor's house and planned to break into the couple's garage to install a GPS device on their car, officials said. This was a determined, systematic effort by senior employees of a major company to destroy the lives of a couple in Natick, all because they published content that company executives didn't like. For a while they succeeded, psychologically devastating these victims for weeks as they desperately tried to figure out what was going on and stop it. Massachusetts U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling told reporters. You/SGT Sharkey responded. Bela Kiss was a Hungarian serial killer in the early years of the 20th century. He murdered multiple women, at least 23, and pickled their bodies in barrels. His crimes were discovered while he was serving in the Austro-Hungarian army during WW. He was nearly caught by the authorities, but he fled a military hospital, leaving a dead body in his bed, and disappeared without a trace. You/Trashabilly replied to this with, "There's a song about him by Bloodsucking Zombies from Outer Space, Austrian horror punk band." He had told police that he was filling the large drums on his property with gasoline to prepare for the war and the shortages that would undoubtedly come with it. He was conscripted to fight in WW1, and after a while there were rumors that he had been killed, so the man caring for his property decided to rent or sell it to someone else, and that was around the time he decided to see what was really in the drums. There had been rumors he was actually using them to store alcohol instead of gasoline. He also was given the moniker the Vampire of Sincota because he would drain his victims' blood from their necks. Sorry to piggyback. It's a really interesting case and a pretty banger song, lol. You/Perisk Sachi responded. Orphan trains. Starting in the 1850s, trains loaded with orphans traveled from the eastern United States through the Midwest and into the West. The trains would stop in farming communities, and farmers who didn't have children could easily adopt from the cargo of children. However, the children were more often used for labor. The practice didn't cease till the 1930s, when cheap agricultural labor was no longer in demand. It's estimated some 200,000 orphaned, homeless, and destitute children were dispatched in this manner, though documentation wasn't precise. Thanks for all the upvotes for this. I did some further reading, compelled by some of the comments mentioning how Canada had the same thing. Well, it wasn't just Canada and the United States. I haven't found an article on it as a phenomenon yet, but apparently this was happening all over the world at around the same time, 1850-1930s. Australia had the same problem with orphans. Of course, Great Britain too. And at the same time. This is truly bizarre, finding all this out. I thought it was just a dark American past. You/deleted responded. In 1878, Big Nose George Parrott and his gang attempted to derail a train with the intent to rob it east of Rawlins, Wyoming. After being foiled, the gang fled to a hideout near Elk Mountain. The Carbon County Sheriff and a Union Pacific detective approached the gang to apprehend them but were murdered. The gang then fled to Montana. After bragging about the attempted robbery and murders in a bar in Miles City, they were arrested and taken back to Rawlins, where he pled guilty in September of 1880. 10 days before he was to be hanged in April 1881, he escaped, but not without a kerfuffle. The noise attracted attention and he was quickly overpowered by locals and lynched from a telegraph pole. The rope broke, and he lay in the dirt begging to be shot. The mob replaced the noose, and he was forced to climb a 12-foot ladder and step off while wearing his leg irons. He eventually choked to death with a mob of 200 watching. Here's where it gets weird. A doctor in town, John Osborne, and a Union Pacific surgeon, Thomas Maghee, claimed the body. After making a death mask, Maghee removed the top of Parrot's skull to study his brain. Osborne took the rest of the body. He gave the cap of the skull to his assistant Lillian Heath, who went on to become Wyoming's first female doctor. It has been rumored to have been used as a doorstop and an ashtray. Osborne skinned the body and buried it in a whiskey barrel. He had the skin tanned and had the leather made into a medical bag and a pair of shoes. He wore the shoes the day he was inaugurated governor in 1893. In 1950, construction unearthed the barrel, and the skull cap matched the lower half, providing a positive ID. The mask, lower skull, and shoes are on display at the Carbon County Museum in Rawlins. The skull cap is on display at the Union Pacific Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa. U/Purple Nomad responded. Aaron Campbell, read at your own risk. Around 2018, a then 16-year-old Aaron Campbell snuck into a home in hopes of stealing some pot. Instead, he found a 6-year-old child sleeping. Seeing this as an opportunity, he absconded with the child. Taking her to an abandoned hotel, he proceeded to violently rape then murder her. Later, when interviewed, he admitted that he felt satisfied with what he did. Additionally, he said that he had to try really hard not to start laughing during court proceedings. A sort of good ending to this is that he is currently one of the most hated people in Scotland, having to hide in his cell to avoid other prisoners. He was actually jumped and badly beaten by one inmate after his cell door was accidentally left open. It was so bad that he had to be taken to emergency care. The inmate is thought of as a hero for this. U/Porlock 99 responded. Hinter Kaifek, a homicide case that occurred in Germany in 1922. The Gruber family, consisting of 6 members, lived on a remote farmstead. Over time, they had been experiencing strange and uncanny events, including footsteps in the attic, unfamiliar voices, and items disappearing and reappearing. One fateful evening, the family's maid quit, stating that the house was haunted. Disturbed by her departure, the Grubbers started hearing strange sounds again. However, nothing could prepare them for what happened next. On March 31st, when neighbors hadn't seen any sign of life from the family for days, they decided to investigate. What they discovered was a gruesome scene. The entire Grubber family, including the maid and even the 2-year-old toddler, had been brutally murdered with a mattock, a type of agricultural tool. Shockingly, the bodies were found in the farmhouse piled on top of each other. Interestingly, the killer had fed the farm animals and remained on the property for a few days after the murders. The authorities were called to the scene, and over the years, various leads and theories emerged. However, the case remains unsolved to this day, with no known motive or identified culprit. Hinter Kaifek remains one of history's darkest and most perplexing mysteries, haunting the imaginations of those who encounter it. U/throw_away 91251952 responded. The Tuskegee study on syphilis. Starting in the 1930s, the U.S. government recruited black men in Macon County with syphilis to see long-term effects of the disease. Black men were recruited, obvious racism, because they were believed to be prone to STDs and never want to get treated. It was intended to last 6 months, but went in for years. Government officials told the participants they were being treated, but they never were. In fact, the researchers also enlisted medical staff from other hospitals to not treat the participants, as well as having participants discharged from the military so they wouldn't be treated. In 1947, penicillin became the standard and effective treatment for syphilis. However, U.S. government researchers continued to keep almost 400 infected men from being treated, who already thought they were being treated. This continued until 1972, when Peter Buxton leaked what was going on and resulted in the study being ended. By this time, 128 participants died from syphilis, with many of their partners and kids were infected. This has resulted in a deep distrust from minority communities to participate in research. This study, along with many others, have used these populations as guinea pigs to lethal consequences. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one. If you enjoyed this video and want to dive even deeper into our community, consider becoming a channel member. Members get exclusive perks like early access to videos, custom emojis, shoutouts, etc. And it's a great way to support the channel so I can keep bringing you the content you love.